Hi students, so this video is very important. It has the tax rates for calculating the short-term and long-term capital gains. So far we have discussed about how we can calculate the long-term or short-term capital gains. Now this important part is about the rates that we have to calculate the tax which is payable on short-term and long-term capital gains. So this we'll do type wise. So first type is your long-term capital gains tax under section 112. So it consists of all the transfer of long-term capital assets except on sale of equity shares, units of a equity oriented fund and units of a business trust. Units of equity oriented fund means the fund set up under the scheme of mutual fund. So it basically means the mutual equities of the mutual fund. So in case except for these three, if there is any long-term capital asset, we have to provide a flat tax rate of 20% for whatever long-term capital gain you have. Okay, flat 20% will be the tax rate plus any kind of surcharges that we have already discussed. In case of individuals and firms, there are different limits on which the surcharge is to be taxed, plus higher education, health and education cess, so at the rate of 4%. So this is the way we have to calculate the long-term capital gain tax. Other point to be noted is deduction under section 80C to 80U is not available. Now you just recall that gross total income is the summation of these 5 heads, right? And after that we provide the deductions under section 80C to 80U in order to calculate our net income. But for long-term capital gains, since the deduction is not available, what we'll do? We'll calculate the gross total income without long-term capital gain. Okay. So now the gross total income will be the summation of your salary, PGBP, other sources and house property. After you club these four, then you'll provide the deductions which are available under section 80C to 80U. After that, you will calculate the net income without including your long-term capital gain. For long-term capital gain, you will calculate a separate 20% taxation, and for the other 4 heads of income, you will calculate as per the slab rates. So always remember in your mind that whenever the long-term capital gain is there, it means you have to bifurcate the total, bifurcate the calculation for charging the total tax payable. Okay, this we'll definitely understand with the help of an example, but till that time you should be aware that long-term capital gain tax apart from your this, except on sale of equity shares, units of equity oriented funds or units of a business trust, in that case deduction is not available, although exemption is available. Now just recall that in case of the individual, the slab rate starting from 2,50,000 is chargeable, right? 0 to 2,50,000 it is nil, then 2,50,000 to 5 lakh it is 5%, and so on. So in this case the basic limit is 2,50,000. So this is available. What this means is, in case apart from including your long-term capital gain, you have other 4 head of incomes and this is falling short of your minimum basic exemption limit, that is 2,50,000. So for example, उन चारों को मिला के you are getting 2,40,000 and then you have a long-term capital gain. In that case, आप long-term capital gain में से 10,000 shift करा सकते हो in order to get the exemption limit of 2,50,000, क्योंकि 2,40,000 है तो आप लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन से 10,000 और लेके 2,50,000 उसको टोटल करके यू कैन गेट द एग्जेम्पशन, और जो बैलेंस होगा आप शिफ्ट करने के बाद लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल असेट का, उसको आप 20% टैक्स कर सकते हो. सो दिस इज द थिंग विच इज अवेलेबल इन केस ऑफ रेजिडेंट, HUF एंड इंडिविजुअल ओनली. ये नॉन रेजिडेंट या फिर किसी और असेसी के लिए अवेलेबल नहीं है. इट इज ओनली इन केस of individual and HUF, that too when he is a resident of India. ठीक है, this we'll understand with the help of an example. ठीक है, so suppose this is your illustration. Mr. X, 30 years, is a resident individual and for the assessment year 2021 he has the following incomes. So this is his long term capital gain 8 lakh, salary after standard deduction of 50,000, it is 2 lakh. Other sources income is 30,000. Net income, when you add them up, this is 10 lakh 30,000. Now, since he is a resident individual, so exemption limit for him is 2 lakh 50,000. So taxable income minus long-term capital gain. So when you subtract 10 lakh 30,000 minus long-term capital gain, means the net income without including your long-term capital gain. This is 2 lakh 30,000, which is definitely less than the exemption limit of 2 lakh 50,000. So now what we can do, we can shift this 20,000 from the long-term capital gain. So we can just shift that amount. So it will be, just a minute. So from this 2,50,000 minus 2,30,000. Sorry, this is wrong, beta. This is 20,000. Okay, this is a typo. So this is 20,000 here. So now 20,000 we have shifted from the long term capital gain, क्योंकि हमारा 20,000 शॉर्ट पड़ रहा था, तो 20,000 हमने यहाँ से शॉर्ट कर लिया. तो अब लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन विच विल बी चार्जेबल टू टैक्स विल बी, जो हमने 20,000 वहां पे शिफ्ट कर दिया वो हम सब्ट्रैक्ट कर देंगे. सो इट विल बी 8 लाख माइनस 20,000. सो दिस विल बी 7 लाख 80,000. दिस इज ऑल्सो रॉन्ग. 30,000 की जगह 20,000 है. आई मेक द अमेंडमेंट्स इन द नोट्स, बट आप ध्यान रखना कि कैलकुलेशन में दिस शुड बी 20,000. Okay, so this is the way in which you can claim the exemption from long term capital assets. Okay, now we'll discuss the second part. So for second part, in case when there is a sale of equity shares, units of equity oriented funds and units of a business trust, क्योंकि वो पुराने वाला क्या था, except for all these. Now, when there is a specific transfer of equity shares or units of equity oriented funds or units of business trust, in this case, the tax rate is flat 10%, but over and above rupees 1 lakh. So first you will calculate the long term capital gain, और उसके 1 लाख की लिमिट देने के बाद whatever the extra amount you have, उस पे you will tax at 10%. Okay. But the important point to be noted here is that indexation benefit is not available. Okay. Earlier also when we discussed the indexation part, we had a table. उस table में all these parts were listed. ठीक है, जिसमें indexation benefit is not available, and I told you all that we'll just go through that point again. So in this case, this point is specifically mentioned that no indexation will be allowed to the assessee. So whatever the cost of acquisition he has, the entire will be deducted. He will not get the benefit of this inflation. Okay. Again, the deduction is not allowed, but the exemption is available. But whom? To only resident individual and HUF. Rebate under section 87A is also not allowed from long-term capital gains. आपको gross total income में charge करने के बाद जो भी आपका tax payable आएगा, without including your long term capital gain, उसमें allowed है, but specifically from long term capital gain it is not allowed. ठीक है, अभी और थोड़े दो रिवाइज कर लेते हैं पॉइंट्स, उसके बाद क्वेश्चन पे जाते हैं. देन शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स, जिसमें आपका सिक्योरिटी ट्रांजैक्शन टैक्स इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल. इट इज वेरी सिंपल. You just have to add this in your total income like you do for your salary, house property, other sources. Similarly, you just add that short-term capital gain there and tax it as per the slab rates of the assessee. But in case where the security transaction tax is applicable, the tax rate is 15%. Okay? Applicable किस cases में होता है? When the short-term capital gain is arising from the incomes from the transfer of the equity shares, units of equity oriented funds and units of business trust. But again, the deduction is not available and the exemption is available only in case of resident individual or HUF. And for business trust, always remember, in order to find out the nature of the capital asset, the period of holding should be judged on the basis of 36 months. So if it is less than or equals to 36 months, it is short-term capital asset. And when it is greater than 36 months, it is long-term capital asset. Now the question arises, when the indexation benefit is not available, how we'll calculate the cost of asset? So this is applicable to your long-term capital gain tax in case of your equity shares, units of equity oriented funds and units of business trust. अब हमने कहा था इसमें indexation allowed नहीं है. So indexation is not allowed. तो cost कैसे calculate करेंगे? In case the assessee has acquired the asset before 1st February 2018, in that case it shall be higher of actual cost or the lower of fair market value and the full value consideration received or accruing as a result of transfer. So पहले सबसे पहले देखो कि fair market value क्या है उसकी उस डेट पे, क्या value of consideration मिल रही है उसका lower लोगे, then you will compare this with the actual cost and whatever the higher value is there, that will be your cost of acquisition. Definitely indexation benefit is not available. In case the assessee has acquired the asset before 1st April 2001, in that case it shall be higher of actual cost whether it is purchased by assessee or it has been transferred by him transferred to him by the previous owner. In that case whatever the actual cost is there or the fair market value as on that date, whatever the higher value, that will be your cost of asset. ठीक है. So हमेशा याद रखना कि इक्विटी ओरिएंटेड फंड्स या इक्विटी शेयर्स या यूनिट्स ऑफ बिजनेस ट्रस्ट में इंडेक्सेशन बेनिफिट अलाउड नहीं है और कॉस्ट ऑफ एसेट आपका ऐसे कैलकुलेट होगा. सो अब ये हमारा सब कुछ डिस्कस हो गया. अब वील मूव टू द क्वेश्चंस. फर्स्ट वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड, नाउ वील मूव टू सेकंड क्वेश्चन. X is 30 years and is totally blind. He is a resident individual and he has the following incomes. So long-term capital gain 1,70,000, house property 2,57,000, then other sources 87,000, and he is eligible for deduction of rupees 10,000 under section 80C on account of PPF. ठीक है. So now we'll add house property and other sources and we'll not add long-term capital gain. ठीक है. हमेशा इसको bifurcate करना है. So gross total income without including your long-term capital gain is 3,44,000. Now you can get the deduction from this. So it is 10,000 plus, since he is blind, so when the person is disabled, he can get a deduction under section 80DD, which is for the disability part. So in that case, the additional deduction of rupees 1,25,000 is available. Now he is blind, so he will get the additional deduction of 1,25,000. So total is 1,35,000. When you subtract the gross total income, you subtract deductions from gross total income, you get this 2,09,000. Now, since his tax slab is 2,50,000, so the rest 41,000 he can claim from the long-term capital asset since he is a resident. And always remember that resident के case में exemption limit is available. So he'll shift 41,000 from long-term capital asset and the tax on total income 2,50,000 is absolutely nil. For the rest of long-term capital gains, when you subtract 41,000 from 1,70,000, it is 1,29,000. And इस पे directly you will charge a flat rate of 20%, so it is 25,800. So tax payable on 25,800 less rebate under section 87A. So this is long-term capital gain without this what we call this equity shares and all. So in this case the rebate is available. So you will subtract the rebate, then you will calculate the normal tax by including the health and education cess, and this is tax payable and this is round off. Rest questions we'll do in the class. So this is just to give you a basic idea that how we have to bifurcate your gross total income, and first we have to exclude the long-term capital gains, and definitely we can get the exemption in case the person's minimum gross minimum net income is falling short of the basic slab rate. Okay, I hope this is clear. In case of any doubts, please reach out to me.